Welcome to today's live stream. I'm going to get started in a minute. I just need to let everybody on social media know the stream is currently on the air. Okay, I let everybody on social media know that the stream is currently on the air, and I'm going to get into today's topic. Now, today's topic was inspired by the comment of a black female viewer who was a Christian who said that she had been involved with a good man, and as she got involved with this good man, sadly, what happened was he got influenced by a brother from the world, and as he got influenced by this individual who was in the world, who was a non believer, he basically took this man off his path as related to his relationship with God. And as he took him off the path of the relationship with God, the entire relationship she had with this guy wound up deteriorating, and she eventually had to leave this guy. Now, I really feel bad for that sister and what she experienced with that man, who she believed was a good man. But the whole problem that I listened to her as related to the comment that she made really showed me that she still is having some issues after being hurt as related to the way this man wound up fooling her. And that's something I wanted to go in depth on with today's show about how many of these good brothers out here do good black women dirty. And because there's a big problem with a lot of good brothers out here. They got everything, but then sadly, what happens with those good brothers, like the one that the sister was telling me about, is that they wind up getting themselves lost as related to things, and they wind up messing up a perfectly good relationship, and for do emotional damage to a very good woman in many cases. And that's where I want to go in depth on things in today's show, because a lot of times when it comes to a lot of people as related to good black men, they really get a lot of stuff twisted, because when it comes to people, if you are having a good understanding of the word of God, you understand that what Jesus said in his word, that no man is good, and we are all born in sin. As we are born in sin, we are susceptible to sin. Even when we've gone out here and again given our lives to Christ, we still have to deal with those temptations to participate in sin. And even though Jesus covers us with his blood as related to those sins and forgives us for sins past, present, and future, we have to understand that we are susceptible to sin and we are susceptible to being tempted by the devil. And that's something many good black men have to understand is that you are open to being tempted. And again, these temptations, they come in a very subtle fashion. So when you're a good man, as you believe you are, again, as related to your character and who you are, you have to really understand, again, there's a whole lot of temptations out there, and those temptations can wind up costing you a great relationship with a good woman. I've seen many good men out here basically wind up messing up. They wind up messing up. Again, they'll have a good thing going that's related to a relationship. They'll have things going good. What will happen to these guys is that what I've seen with good brothers is that they're very susceptible to the world. I mean, they're very susceptible to the world, influence of the world. That's what happens to a lot of brothers. And one of the things that winds up getting jammed up is peer pressure. Now, a lot of these guys, they'll go out here and they'll hear that, oh, you got a good woman, you got everything going. And again, some of these guys basically they see other fellas out here being players, being ladies' men, and they'll be like, okay, I should be able to go out here and have other women. That's what gets a lot of the good brothers when they get tempted because they'll see a friend of theirs going out here. He's going out here getting lots of attention from ladies, and he's basically thinking he's missing something when in actuality he doesn't see what he's actually blessed with. I mean, it's very similar to what happened with Tia Mowry. As Tia Mowry, God blessed her with a good husband in the beginnings of her life at 18 or 19 years old. She got Corey Hardrick. She got the perfect man for her. And as she got outside with her female friends, the female friends started telling her, hey, there's a better guy over there. There's a more handsome guy over there. You can do better than that guy. And she wound up destroying her marriage and wound up seeing that the grass wasn't greener on the other side. No, what she saw when she got divorced was that the world dating wasn't what she thought it was. And she got involved with old kooky, old Ray and old dudes who basically were not worth the call time, not appreciating what God has done to them. You know, happens to a lot of good men out there. A lot of good men out there, they don't know what they have because they go out in the world. They see these women looking all pretty. They see these women having all of this presence. And they think, hey, what am I missing out on? Not understanding what God has given them. And then they have their friends telling them, hey, there's a better woman over there. There's a more exciting woman over there. And as they see that new exciting woman over there, they get caught up in flash, not understanding that God's given you a woman of substance. And what happens with these guys is they start thinking, hey, I'll go over to this other woman. I'll go check out this other female and how fine she is, and I'm going to check her out. And then what they do is again wind up losing a really good relationship with a woman who was right for them. And as they wind up in that relationship, they wind up actually losing a part of themselves because what happens is as those guys over here, as those guys go out here and they do the woman that God gave them, they wind up losing a part of themselves, and they also wind up losing a whole good piece of their soul. Because what happens is when these guys go out into the world and they wind up getting with other women, I mean, they wind up messing up a good thing, and they wind up out here all alone and spiritually lost. That's what I've seen a lot of guys out here. I mean, they just good guys, stuff is going good. I mean, they have a good life, and they don't really understand what they're doing. They don't understand, hey, got a good thing going here because what a lot of these guys, again, they see the players, they see the woman owners, they see these guys, again, getting all these, they believe to be attractive. Not understanding that, hey, she's attractive on the outside, she's a headache on the inside. That's what some guys don't understand about, when you have a good woman, again, who you're chilling, joining the relationship, things are going good, and with a lot of brothers or men, they'll basically throw that away. They get the grass is greener on the other side. Other side, grass is green as they thought, and they wind up doing a good thing. And they wind up doing damage to a woman. They wind up doing damage to a woman who winds up, again, emotionally hurt. As she's emotionally hurt, she thought she could invest into this man. But this man basically, again, because he was influenced by outside forces, he basically wound up throwing away a good thing because he basically thought, oh, he could do better. Not understanding what God has given you is already perfect for you. That's what a lot of guys don't understand. And they wind up getting a very good woman dirty. Now, when it comes to there's another guys out here. Again, these are good men. Again, they're good in that the fact that they've got a good job, they've gotten their education, they're already established. This is out here. They're as related to their character, as related to how they're established. And what happens with some of these guys is that they wind up getting gassed up. They wind up getting gassed up because they think, oh, I've risen to a certain level. And then they get this sense of entitlement. And as they get that sense of entitlement, what happens with this group of good men is that they wind up believing that they can be deserved better. And when they start thinking that they deserve better, they'll think, oh, the woman that I have, I don't need to respect anymore. I don't need to regard anymore. And what happens with those guys who have a good woman and have everything going for them is basically they start thinking about doing so-called better, and they wind up doing the woman they're involved with very dirty by walking out on her or going out here and cheating on her. And they believe that it's their right to go out here and do this. They believe it is their very right to go out here and be able to cheat on a woman in some cases. They don't really regard their partner anymore because they're thinking, hey, I've got my good job, I'm making good money, I'm living a lifestyle, and as part of that lifestyle, I'm entitled to certain perks, and because they believe they are entitled to certain perks, what they believe is that it's their right to go out here and cheat and go out here and have relationships with other women. And they don't really, again, understand that the Christian principle, again, of do unto others as you have them do unto you, or to love the woman you're with the same way Christ loves the church. No, they're not thinking about serving God because they're so caught up in themselves. And as they are caught up in themselves, what happens with these men is, again, this good man on the surface starts to compromise his character. And as he compromises his character to, again, try to conform to the standards of what he believes are in the world, what he does is he does this woman dirty. Again, this woman basically thought, oh, I invested in this guy emotionally. I thought I could be with this dude and things would be good. But this guy basically, again, he thought, oh, he's arrived and entitled. And he's not thinking about us as a couple. No, he's only thinking about himself and where he wants to go in the relationship. And that's where this relationship, again, goes south, because what happens with this guy is that he's like, oh, I've got all this money now. I'm in this place, and I can believe I can do whatever I want without regard for another person. And that's what really makes this guy, again, start heading towards the road of being a jerk. This guy basically heads down that road of becoming a jerk because he really, again, getting full of himself because he's got what he believes his college degree. In some cases, he believes he's got his good job. He believes, hey, I'm at a certain place in life. I can do whatever I want. And this is where the good man starts to go bad because he gets caught up in the sin of his own vanity and the sin of his own ego. And that sin winds up eating him up, and it winds up, again, leading to him destroying a good relationship and doing emotional damage to a good woman. There's another group of guys who are so-called are good men, and what happens with these guys? Yeah, these guys basically are out here. They see and Ray and all the players getting all the women. And once they get to a certain position in life, they believe that, okay, since I've gotten to this place, I believe I can just treat people however I used to be treated, never thinking once about how they were done. I mean, these are some of these nerdy guys or some of these awkward guys back in the day. They're still harboring a lot of unconscious anger towards the girls. Yeah. And as they come up and they've got, gone through puberty and got good looking and they've gotten themselves in a place where they believe that they are successful, perhaps this group of so-called good men is that they really go bad because they want to go out here and do the same things that Pookie and Ray are doing, do the same things that Pookie and Ray are out here doing as related to women. And they believe it's their right in these times to be able to go out here and do that type of thing. That's what these guys basically believe. They believe that they have that justification now because those guys were out here and did women dirty. So they believe that it's their time and they go out here instead of trying to do what is right towards the woman that is in their life, they go out here thinking that they're going to be, again, womanizers and cast. What's really scary is that they go out here and put on a disguise saying that they're good men. And they say that they're good men. They're out here looking to do the dirt, looking to go out here and again put on this veneer that, hey, I'm this good guy. When in actuality, you are the bad guy. And again, you want to do the things subconsciously because you want revenge on the woman who did you dirty back in junior high school and back in high school. These guys again want to continue getting revenge as related to the girls in their lives, and they wind up doing damage to women. They wind up doing damage to women emotionally because they still are dealing with a lot of emotional hurts from past relationships, and as they're dealing with all this hurt from a past relationship or past attempts at relationships, because a lot of times it's attempts at relationships that again twist these guys and have them being closet misogynists in that they are on the surface looking like they want to be this good guy, but behind the scenes they're basically seething and boiling with anger, seething and boiling with anger about the girl who turned them down, and they take it out on the women when they get older. When they get older, they start taking it out on other women. And that's another one of those so-called good men who goes out here and again does women dirty. And again, this guy doesn't see the damage that he does to women. No, doesn't see the damage that he does. No, because again, he's selfish like the other men that I've mentioned. And that's another hallmark of a lot of so-called good men. They basically, again, they think that they're good because of either their income or they're good because of their social status. But the whole thing is that they don't really have a good foundation in Christ. And because they don't have a good foundation in Christ, what happens with these men is that they wind up again becoming susceptible to sin. And as they become susceptible to sin, they wind up getting caught up in temptation as related to looking to again go out here and get with other women. And again, don't think about the woman that's good in their lives. No, all they think about is what's really good as related to what they want to get. And that's what makes these so-called good men really go bad. And it's something a lot of people don't really think about because a lot of times when it comes down to a lot of good, what they call good brothers, they will be again having either a good income or they'll have a pretty good reputation as related to their professional and social standings. And what happens with these guys is again some of them again start thinking that they have a right to go out here and do this peers. Hey man, you deserve women on the side. You deserve to have things going for you. That's what they tell them. And again, this is what leads to them looking to do women dirty because they see some grass on the other side or something that they have a they can again be out there again do this type of stuff. And it messes up these guys and again makes it wear a lot. It hurt that they hurt a lot of women. And again, this is the system. Could see how she was hurt by this guy. She thought this was a good man, but the whole thing is that he basically was susceptible to temptation, susceptible to those temptations, and he basically, again, became spiritually lost. But the whole thing I want the sister to understand is that you can't let yourself get spiritually lost or let yourself be jaded by this guy. Again, he basically wound up losing his way, but you can't afford to let him make you lose your way because what I see with a lot of women is that they think, oh, because this guy did all of this, they hold on to that because again, women are emotional, and because women are emotional, they hold on to these feelings about the guy who did them dirty. Because women invest their feelings into men, and again, that's natural for them to do that. Again, they naturally invest in their emotions into these men, and again, if the man is not doing right, it can just do damage. And a lot of people don't want to talk about the damage that a lot of good brothers do. Again, a lot of good brothers go out here and do damage because they get caught up in the world. And this is something that I wanted to just touch on because when it comes down to these brothers, again, they're supposedly good, but again, God Himself said no man is good. But the thing is that these guys basically take good people and wind up making a bad situation and messing it up. They go out here and ruin a career as related to things. I mean, this is something that happens with these men. Again, have everything going, and then they mess up their lives with an affair if they're married, or they wind up cheating on women. And again, a lot of us have to deal with this issue again as related to these guys. And again, they will go out here and say, "Oh, I'm a good man," but the whole thing is, if you're not doing right by your woman, again, when you're with her, then you need to really take a look at yourself because it's not good for you to go out here and do women dirty. I mean, this is something a lot of good brothers go out here say do. They go out here and again put on this veneer, but in actuality, some of them again just want to go out here and do this dirt and be with all these other chicks. But the whole thing is that you don't see the damage that you do. Again, at least with the womanizers and the cats, they're up and honest about what they do. But this guy basically isn't very honest. And again, that's what makes the betrayal feel even worse because the woman invested her emotions into this dude. They trusted this guy. They trusted him to do what was right. But this guy didn't do what was right. And this is where the women start saying, oh, good men, they're just as dirty as all else, which is true in some ways because all men are sinful and again susceptible to sin. But when it comes down to the good man, he can do more damage than even the nice guy. Now, the nice guy is a whole different monster, but this guy basically did damage because he wound up violating this woman's trust. If a woman's trust gets violated, it becomes harder for her to have a relationship with another person. It becomes very hard for her to have a relationship with another person. And that's where I think the sister is dealing with right now. She's basically been hurt. Her heart's been broken. And again, she's telling me about, oh, sometimes a man can do dirty. But again, I've run into these guys for many years because I'm, some people say I'm a good man, but the whole thing, I understand that I'm not perfect. And I even people say that about me. I would say, everybody is susceptible to sin. And again, when it comes down to guys like this, again, they are susceptible to sin. They're vulnerable to sin, and they have to be. And they have to. This is why extra vigilant about how you are when you are in a relationship. You have to be extra vigilant because, again, the devil will throw temptations at you, and you have to be very careful when you're out here. And this is something, again, that good men, again, don't really think about because all they're thinking is, oh, I've got a good education, I've got a good job. Again, the whole thing is that you are being targeted with temptations all the time, and you have to understand those temptations can come from your peers. Those temptations can come from other social circles like your job. Those temptations can come all around. But the whole thing is that you have to try to maintain your resolve and maintain your resolve as related to your relationship. Because the worst thing you can do is do a good woman dirty, a good woman who God has given you, and wind up hurting her and wind up hurting your relationship that you have with the woman that's right for you. So I'm going to get ready to wrap up today's show. And I want everybody to head over to Amazon.com and pick up the usual books from like Mr. Goth Girl Summer, John Haynes' A Thorn in My Side, and Esteemed Season of the Witch Girl. I mean, all three of these books that I have in front of me. I mean, you can pick up these books on Amazon right now. It's the 2025 SPH Tour catalog. And I'm asking everybody to pick up these books along with about relationships, like why 70% of Black women are single, and other books like The Man Crisis. All those books can basically help you out and help you move your relationship forward. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to today's live, and I hope you'll be there for the next live that I do.